everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I want you to sit with a feeling that's been quietly bothering you. That confusing, almost painful contradiction when a woman seems cold, distant, maybe even uninterested, but something deep inside you keeps whispering, "She likes me." And here's the uncomfortable truth, sometimes you're not wrong. Before we go any deeper, take 1 second, subscribe to the channel, like this video, because what you're about to hear might completely change how you read her behavior and how you protect your own emotional energy. Now listen carefully. When a woman acts cold, your instinct as a man is to pull back, to assume rejection, to protect your ego. You tell yourself, if she liked me, she'd show it. That sounds logical, but attraction, especially from a psychological perspective, is rarely logical. Cold behavior doesn't always mean absence of feelings. In many cases, it's the presence of too many feelings. You see, when a woman feels something intense, something that threatens her emotional control, she doesn't always move closer. Sometimes, she does the opposite. She withdraws. She becomes quieter, shorter in her responses, less expressive. Not because she doesn't feel, but because she feels too much and doesn't trust what that could lead to. And here's where it gets dangerous for you. If you misread that coldness as rejection, you might walk away, just when she was internally struggling with the fact that she was starting to care. But don't romanticize this either. Not every cold woman likes you. That's where most men get it wrong. They chase distance thinking it's mystery, when sometimes it's just disinterest. The difference lies in subtle contradictions. Does she go cold, but still stay around you? Does she act distant, but never fully disappear? Does she respond slowly, but always respond? That inconsistency is not random. It's emotional conflict. And emotional conflict is where attraction often hides. What you're seeing is not indifference, it's restraint. She's trying to control something she hasn't fully processed yet. And if you're not aware of this, you'll either chase too hard and push her away, or pull back too soon and lose something that was just beginning to grow. So the question isn't, why is she cold? The real question is, now here's where most men misinterpret the situation completely. They see cold behavior and immediately assume emotional absence, when in reality, the mind behind that behavior may be working overtime. Attraction doesn't always express itself in warmth. Sometimes it expresses itself in hesitation, restraint, and even controlled distance. When a woman feels a pull toward you, she doesn't always trust it right away. Her past experiences, her standards, her fears of vulnerability, all of that begins to surface at once. So instead of leaning in, she tests the waters by stepping back. It's not to punish you, it's to observe you. She's asking silent questions. Will you chase her validation? Will you become inconsistent? Will you react emotionally to her distance? Or will you remain grounded? A man who becomes anxious, who overtexts, who tries to force closeness, unknowingly confirms her hesitation. He shifts from being someone she's curious about into someone she feels she needs to manage. And the moment that dynamic forms, her coldness becomes stronger, not weaker. But a man who stays calm, who maintains his direction, who doesn't react dramatically to her withdrawal, creates something very different in her mind. He becomes unpredictable in a healthy way, not needy, not pressured, just steady. And steadiness is rare. Now here's the subtle part you need to understand. Her coldness may not be a wall, it may be a filter. She's not necessarily trying to shut you out completely. She's trying to see if you're worth letting in. That doesn't mean you should tolerate disrespect or chase confusion. It means you should read the pattern correctly. Because there's a difference between a woman who is emotionally unavailable and a woman who is emotionally guarded. One is not interested, the other is not yet comfortable, and your behavior determines which one she becomes around you. If you respond to her distance with pressure, she will retreat further. If you respond with insecurity, she will lose attraction. But if you respond with composure, clarity, and self-respect, you give her a psychological environment where her guard can naturally come down. And that's when coldness begins to soften, not because you forced it, but because you didn't break under it. Stay aware of this distinction because misreading it leads to missed opportunities, unnecessary rejection, and emotional frustration that could have been avoided with patience, awareness, and grounded self-control. Always lead yourself first. There's another layer most men never consider, and it's the internal conflict she experiences when she actually does like you, but hasn't decided whether it's safe to show it. From a psychological standpoint, attraction can create vulnerability, and vulnerability feels like risk. So instead of expressing interest openly, she may unconsciously regulate her behavior by appearing indifferent, even slightly detached. This is not deception in the manipulative sense, it's self-protection. Think about it like this. The more she feels, the more she has to lose control over how she is perceived, and perception matters deeply in early attraction stages. She may worry about appearing too available, too eager, or too emotionally invested too soon. So she balances herself by pulling back just enough to feel in control again. That's why her behavior may seem inconsistent. One moment she engages, the next moment she withdraws. One day she's responsive, another day she's distant. This isn't always confusion toward you. Sometimes it's internal negotiation within herself. She's deciding how much of her interest she's willing to reveal without risking rejection, embarrassment, or emotional exposure. Now here's what you must avoid doing. Do not try to decode every single message, delay, or tone shift as a definitive signal. That's how you become reactive. And reactive behavior is what creates emotional imbalance in the dynamic. Instead, zoom out and observe patterns over time. Does she return? Does she re-engage after distance? Does she maintain a presence in your life even when she pulls back? Consistency over time matters more than isolated moments of coldness. A man who understands this doesn't chase every fluctuation. He anchors himself in reality rather than speculation. He interacts based on what is consistently shown, not what is temporarily withheld. And this is where your internal state becomes critical. If her coldness triggers insecurity in you, she will feel that shift. Not consciously, but intuitively. And that perceived imbalance can reduce attraction because it signals a lack of emotional stability. But when you remain composed, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. That your emotional state is not dependent on her behavior. That doesn't mean you become indifferent, it means you become centered. Because attraction is not just about what she feels toward you, it's also about how you respond to uncertainty. And a man who handles uncertainty with calm confidence stands out far more than a man who tries to eliminate it through control or overanalysis. This is where many men begin to either level up or lose themselves in interpretation instead of understanding. At this point, you need to understand something that most men never get told directly. Attraction and emotional pacing are not the same thing. Just because she feels something doesn't mean she's ready to express it at the same speed you want. In fact, when a woman senses that things are moving too quickly emotionally, she may instinctively slow down her outward behavior, even if her internal interest is real. This slowing down can look like coldness, but in many cases, it's actually her trying to regain emotional balance. She may enjoy your presence, she may think about you, she may feel excitement when you interact, but at the same time, she's managing the intensity of those feelings so they don't overwhelm her decision-making. So she creates space, not to lose you, but to process what she's experiencing. Now here's where your role becomes critical. If you interpret that space as rejection and start chasing, you compress the very distance she's using to regulate herself. That pressure can make her retreat further, not because she lost interest, but because she lost a sense of emotional safety. On the other hand, if you respect that space without withdrawing your own standards or self-respect, you allow her to experience something very different. A man who does not collapse under uncertainty. This is not about playing games, it's about understanding timing. Healthy attraction often requires a natural rhythm. When one person speeds up emotionally while the other is still calibrating, imbalance occurs. And imbalance creates tension. But tension is not always negative. In the right context, it becomes the very thing that builds deeper interest over time, if handled correctly. A woman who likes you but acts cold is often in a phase where her feelings are still aligning with her behavior. She hasn't fully synchronized internally, so externally she appears reserved. Your job is not to force synchronization. Your job is to remain consistent while she finds her own alignment. And this is where emotional maturity separates men. An inexperienced response says, "She's cold, so I must do more." A grounded response says, "She's cold, so I observe and respond appropriately without losing myself." Because attraction grows in environments where pressure is low, but presence is high. If you can maintain your presence without increasing pressure, you create the conditions where her guard can naturally lower. And when that happens, her coldness doesn't suddenly disappear. It gradually transforms into warmth that feels earned, not forced. That transition is subtle, but it's where genuine connection begins to form. Now let's address something that many men misunderstand at a deeper level: the idea that cold behavior and interest cannot exist at the same time. That belief is not just incomplete, it can lead you to walk away from situations that actually had potential, or worse, to stay attached to situations that were never real to begin with. A woman who is genuinely interested may still present moments of distance, not because she is playing a game, but because attraction alone does not override her need for emotional security, personal boundaries, and self-protection. She is constantly balancing two forces: the pull of attraction and the instinct to maintain control over her emotional environment. When those two forces are not fully aligned, her outward behavior can appear inconsistent. So instead of asking, "Is she cold or is she interested?" a more accurate question is there a pattern that suggests engagement beneath the distance? For example, she may not initiate often, but she responds when you reach out. She may not express emotions directly, but she remains present in your conversations. She may not chase you, but she doesn't fully detach either. That middle ground is where ambiguity lives. And ambiguity is where most men either overinvest or completely disengage. But a man who understands this space doesn't rush to conclusions. He evaluates behavior over time, not in isolated moments. He allows her actions to speak louder than temporary emotional fluctuations. Now here's something important to keep in mind. Cold behavior can sometimes be influenced by factors that have nothing to do with you: stress, personal responsibilities, past experiences, or even her personality style. Not every reserved response is a hidden signal of attraction. That's why emotional intelligence requires you to stay objective rather than overly interpretive. You are not trying to decode her mind perfectly. You are trying to understand whether her behavior, over time, aligns with genuine interest or not. And while you're doing that, you must remain grounded in your own life, because the strongest position you can take is not to wait for clarity from her, but to continue building clarity within yourself. Your goals, your discipline, your direction, these are the anchors that prevent you from becoming emotionally dependent on her reactions. When a woman sees that you are not easily swayed by her distance, yet still capable of engaging with confidence and calmness, it changes the dynamic. You stop being someone who reacts and become someone who leads himself. And in many cases, that alone is enough to shift how she responds to you over time. Not because you forced anything, but because you demonstrated stability in a space where most men show uncertainty. Now let's bring everything together, because this is where most men either gain clarity or continue repeating the same emotional patterns without realizing it. When a woman acts cold but actually likes you, the key is not to focus on the coldness alone. It's to understand the context behind it. Her behavior is rarely a single signal. It's a combination of internal emotions, personal boundaries, timing, and how she perceives your behavior in return. If she likes you, her coldness is often temporary and situational. It fluctuates. It comes and goes. It's not absolute. And most importantly, it doesn't completely eliminate her presence from your life. But if her coldness is consistent, prolonged, and paired with minimal effort to maintain contact or connection, then it's no longer about hidden attraction, it's about lack of genuine interest. So the real skill here is discernment. You don't chase cold behavior. You don't ignore consistent interest. You learn to read patterns, not moments. At the same time, you must stay aware of your own tendencies. Many men become emotionally invested too quickly, attaching meaning to every interaction. That creates pressure, and pressure distorts perception. When your emotional state depends on her responses, you lose objectivity, and that's when confusion takes over. Instead, you ground yourself. You engage, you observe, and you remain aligned with your own standards. You don't shrink yourself to gain approval, and you don't overextend yourself to earn clarity. You allow clarity to develop naturally through consistent interaction. If she is genuinely interested, her behavior will eventually reflect it more clearly over time. Coldness will soften, engagement will increase, effort will become more balanced. If she is not, her distance will remain, and her lack of investment will become undeniable. Either way, you win clarity by staying patient and observant. And here's the final truth you need to carry with you. A man who is calm in the face of uncertainty, who doesn't overreact to distance, who maintains his direction regardless of her behavior, that man stands out. Not because he is chasing her attention, but because he is not controlled by it. And that is the difference between being emotionally reactive and being emotionally grounded. When you operate from that place, you stop asking, "Why is she acting cold?" And you start recognizing, "What is actually being shown to me?" That shift in awareness is what protects your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being, while also allowing genuine connections to develop without force, confusion, or self-betrayal.